Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Zach.
and welcome to the Movie Vault.
Today, we watched Baby Driver.
Baby Driver is a 2017 movie that was written and directed by Edgar Wright.
It's the only movie where a baby is legally allowed to drive.
Alright, now let's drift right into the plot.
Nice. All right.
Okay, so now we get to start out with Sony's lame logo. I mean, like, one of the worst logos.
Like, updated already.
20th Century Fox has a good logo, Disney has a good logo. Sony's just like, Sony.
What about
Like,
Paramount, the mountains?
I guess that's not that interesting.
Universal Studios is pretty cool.
Yeah, Universal's good. So Sony pretty low on that logos chart. Anyway, we get some cars driving by, and then there's a robbery and we see Ansel Elgort sitting in the car singing. While
This is the guy from the Divergent series who played Caleb.
I didn't really
correct?
know that, but
Yes. Correct.
yes, Zach is indeed correct, which
am.
is pretty rare.
True. By the way, from last podcast, David said that I had to mention or something, but I actually agree with Ben and David. I'm not that great a podcaster. Ben, it gets all the praise, and I really don't in any of this.
Well, I should probably not take all the credit, but no, I'm just kidding. Zach definitely adds a lot to the episode and is a much firmer critic most of the time.
All right, thank you for reading my script. Okay, let's continue. So yes, there's a robbery happening, and Baby, the main title character, has sunglasses on and wired AirPods on, and he's just listening to his music, his jams, in a red Subaru. You can clearly tell that he's a getaway driver because John Bernthal, one of the characters, he plays Griff. He's only in the beginning of the movie, but he and two other characters are going on a robbery, and they come out and Baby drives them away in this really cool opening scene with some cool music going on. I don't remember the song, but I remember it went well with the drifting and the just the car mechanics.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, the stuff that Baby pulls off in this scene. Driving all over the place. The cops clearly can't keep up with his statistics, and Baby, or I said statistics. I rather his like driving ability. Baby is clearly gifted in this regard, and he's pretty flashy, I would say too, with his driving ability.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so they go back to this warehouse, and he's working for a crew that the head guy named Doc, who is played by Kevin Spacey, which
No comment.
we have no comment about.
Other than he's not a very good person in real life.
Yes, correct. He's a good actor though.
He is a talented actor. We must give him that.
So he plays Doc in this movie, and Doc puts these crews together to pull off heists and do robberies to get more money for himself. And he says early on that his relationship with Baby is that Baby stole his car and went away with it. So Baby owes him like favors, I guess, right? Something like that.
Yeah, he like crashed his car that had a bunch of stuff in it, and because of that, he has to pay back Doc for what he owes him by driving. Now, Doc keeps him a little bit compensated here and there, but for the most part, Baby is just doing it to get out of debt.
So then Baby, after this heist, he goes to the local diner, and he sees this girl, and he starts recording this girl singing B-A-B-Y, baby.
Clearly singing about him,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, Baby's a smooth operator when it comes to getting women.
Yeah.
Recording women is a sure way.
I took more notes on Baby's women influence than anything else in this movie. Let's just say that, okay?
Yeah, Baby, you would think that it would turn out awkwardly, but it turns out that this girl ended up being pretty charmed with Baby when she came to talk to him. I think they both shared an interest in movies, so they found some common interest. You know, that's what you do when you're first starting a relationship with someone. And music is a good place to start.
Yes, I guess so. And so he starts off by telling her how beautiful she is. That was pretty right off the bat. And she has a fake tag on for her name. It said Jonathan. But later on it reveals her name's Deborah, because I don't want to keep calling her the girl. So Deborah is pretty smitten by Baby. And then Baby, it shows Baby back in another warehouse with a new crew this time. And there's an Asian American guy, and Doc says that he puts the Asian in home invasion.
Yeah, he gives these little nicknames to everyone, and he's pretty smooth about it. It's funny.
Yeah.
And I think at some point we had also seen Joe, who is somehow related, and I think we find out later in the movie that he is the foster dad to Baby.
Yes.
And he is deaf, but Baby knows sign language. They seem to get along pretty well, and he's not a big fan of Baby being involved in these robbery plots.
Ben, be real. Do you think that Joe's eyes were the most beautiful eyes that you've ever seen on a human?
Yeah, probably.
He had the bluest eyes, like the ocean.
Yeah, but Joe was the most likable character in the movie.
For sure.
Like, you were rooting for Joe the whole time, no matter what happened to Baby or anybody else.
He stole the 10 minutes that he was in this movie.
Yeah. That guy should have gotten an Academy Award for supporting actor.
Yeah.
Well, I actually don't even know who that guy's name is. We'll get to that when we get to acting.
Sure, whatever. So Doc reveals that Baby has tinnitus. Tinnitus. And the reason that Baby's always listening to music is to drown out the ringing in his ears that he permanently has.
Yeah, and this disease is something that is stopping Baby from having as full of a life as he can, but it also makes people think that he's kind of weird or strange, because why does he have his earbuds in all the time?
Yeah.
I mean, now that people have AirPods, we're really used to seeing people walk around
With the money that Baby makes, he should have gotten some AirPod Pros or some AirPods.
like. And when did AirPods come out?
I don't know. What year did this movie take place?
I don't know.
Like actual time? If it's 2017, AirPods were definitely out.
Yeah, because they came out in 2016,
Yeah.
and he was still using like old iPod like Nanos. Like, I don't even know.
I don't even know. That was before our time.
Yeah, so this must have been set a little bit earlier than when it was supposed to be.
But
But
he always kept those because it was more sentimental too.
yeah. So then they get to the robbery, but before that, Bats is introduced.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is Bats, and he is among many people who are skeptical of Baby, and he tries to kind of get in his head, but Doc makes it pretty clear that Baby is his driver, and this is how it's going to be.
Doc's in charge. He's the one that gets the whole crew together. And so they get put on a new job to a new robbery. There's a funny scene where they said that they were going to wear Michael Myers masks. So
Like from Halloween.
yeah, from the movie Halloween, and they got masks. Who messes up? Who buys the masks? I forget.
It's either JD, the Asian American guy, or it's the other guy.
Yeah, Buddy.
No,
Different character.
no, it's a different character.
Well,
I'm pretty
anyway,
sure.
someone messes up and buys Mike Myers masks of Austin Powers.
So they're in this goofy, like, white guy with, like, big square glasses, Austin Powers mask while they go in to rob this bank. And you think it's going to be another smooth robbery like the first time. Well, you're dead wrong if you thought that.
Shagalicious, baby.
Because we got Mr. American Hero in the parking lot who's trying to make sure that they don't get away with the money. This guy's got
I bet that's a reference. Because Austin Powers always says baby.
Maybe. No, it's got to be a reference because Edgar Wright's somebody who would make all kinds of references.
True.
So it's possible that there's been a lot of, although a lot of the references that they made in this movie were weird, but I can't think of some of them off the top of my head.
I don't know. Edgar Wright was involved in Ant-Man, and ants are small like babies.
Maybe, and he was also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which Michael Cera is not the biggest guy.
He's not. He's in Arrested Development.
Oh yeah, he is.
So.
I don't know why Michael Cera didn't play Baby Driver. That would have been awful.
Yeah. that
He's
would've been
so not
awkward.
cool.
He's very awkward.
Yeah. They're trying to get away from this car. And this guy has like a full ammunition, like firearms department in his car. He's got his pistol and then he pulls out some sort. I'm not familiar with that many guns, but it's some sort of like semi-automatic gun thing that it's pretty intense. And so they get away from him in the parking lot, but then he ends up driving behind them on the highway. And so then there's a scene where Baby is kind of maneuvering the car, and then Jamie Foxx's character Bats is trying to get a shot at the guy, but then Baby moves the car so he can't get the shot.
Intentionally.
Yeah, and this kind of annoys Jamie Foxx, but in the moment he's okay with it because they're getting away. But he crosses to the side of the highway, and then that guy wrecks his car, but I think he survives because I think
does. He's in another scene on the TV in a hospital room.
Yeah, and then they go steal this. They go steal this car with this mother and child, and they put them on the side of the road, and they get away.
He said, the woman goes, "I have a child," and Bat says, "I do too. I've got one too." So then he just
So-
keeps pulling her out of the car. It's funny.
So Jamie Foxx is like, we're on a level playing field here, man. We can't help it. And so Jamie and the rest of them go into this garage, switch out cars, and then come back to.
So he when he switches out the cars, he gets rid of one of the cars in a compound lot or something, and they crush the car, and he's having flashbacks of his parents who were killed in a car wreck.
Right,
From
yeah.
fighting too much or something like that.
Yeah, so we get Baby has had traumatic experience with cars. In fact, that might be what caused his whatever that is. Tinnitus, actually. I'm not sure that was explicitly stated, but it's a possibility.
True. In that scene, he also gets rid of his burner phone, which is what Doc uses to call Baby when he's needed for a drive.
At the end of this, he's like, okay, so I'm going to be done. And so then he goes to talk to Deborah because he is like really taking a liking for this girl. And then they go to a nice romantic date to the laundromat.
Which, the clothes that were being washed on the laundromat were very primary color based.
And I think it's probably because Edgar Wright is just like that. He likes things being flashy and bright. If you've ever watched Scott Pilgrim, which I've referenced a couple of times, that is one of the most overstimulating movies on the senses. And you get a little bit of that, not as much, but you still get a little bit of that in Baby Driver with those kind of things.
Yeah. But, so they reveal that Baby's foster dad is Joe. And, they get along at the laundromat.
Yeah, and he kind of tells a story.
Yeah. And then Baby goes home and he's singing the song Deborah, like in relation to Deborah. And then Joe signs to Baby. You only have to So then Baby gets a job as a pizza delivery guy, right?
Right, because it's a good job.
Yeah,
he can make people smile. That's what Joe tells him.
Yeah. Baby's a good kid. He just made a mistake by stealing that car all those years ago, and he owed Doc these favors now.
Right, and he thinks that he's out now. So he's like, he has a bunch of money saved up. So he's like, I don't need to make a ton of money. And then he takes Deborah to this really fancy restaurant that he had heard a couple earlier talking about being the finest wine and dine place in the entire village. And they're having a great time. You can tell the energy is there. It's really romantic. But then who's there to be the buzzkill?
Good old Doc.
But good old Doc, I mean, he should have thought about this. Like, Doc is, of course, going to be hanging out in the fanciest restaurant with all his buds. And he sees Baby and is like, or he probably knew that Baby was going to be here, actually, knowing Doc.
True.
And he tells Doc, he's like, you're not done. You're not in debt to me, but I'm also going to kill everybody that you love if you don't work for me.
And break his legs, which apparently he reemphasizes more than killing his loved ones. But yeah, Baby says that he talks to Debbie, says that he's not good enough for her, blah, 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 trying to like ease it off a little bit so that she's not too close to him in this process so that she wouldn't get hurt from Baby's decisions.
Yeah, he's trying to hint at that he's not in a lifestyle that is particularly good for her to be in. He doesn't really want to involve her. He kind of realizes that he's in over his head. But what's he going to do? He has to get back to work.
And then the next scene happens, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes. It's where Doc brings his nephew and Baby to scout out a local post office where they're going to steal these papers that they can fill out and exchange them for money from a machine or something like that. Something of the sorts. Doc has like a friend that can use these pamphlets from post offices to make small $1,000 charges. So, I don't know, something like that, something of the sorts. But Doc's nephew's in this scene, and they go inside the post office, and first of all, they meet the most nice post office lady that I'd ever seen.
I don't think that there's a nicer post office employee in the entire world. Obviously, this lady is an actor, but she has acted so nice. And, like, you know, Baby was in line. There was nobody behind him.
Yeah,
like there's no post office in America that there's not a line in, even in really rural towns.
When I went to the post office, the lady's like, "Next, come here, all right." And I'm like, "I want a peppermint, you know. I want a good."
You want her to say that, hey, Zach, I have a peppermint with your name on it.
I want a peppermint that says ZACHERY, okay, not ARY.
ERY, the
ERY.
proper way to spell
Correct.
Zachary.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
So they get the whole experience, and then we get these funny scenes where the nephew is like helping Baby tell Doc like how many people are, all the information and stuff that he needs to know. And then they go back to meet with Bats, Buddy, Darling, and that's the crew. Baby, Bats, Buddy, and Darling.
And Buddy and Darling are like madly in love. They're always like making out in the background.
Yeah, like all the time. It's kind of weird, but they're clearly crazy about each other. Yeah. And so
Yes.
Bats is kind of like he's annoyed at that, and then Bats is also kind of not the biggest fan of Baby because he's like, you should be putting your focus in, and he feels like Baby has his earbuds in all the time. So like,
It's basically like baby boomers and millennials or Gen Z.
no, it's Gen Z, yeah.
Yeah, Gen
You
Z.
know, like the OK Boomer meme, like Bats is the boomer, and Baby is the Gen Z kid. Although the boomer tends to be taking more of the shots at this point. But Doc calms him down somehow, and they are doing this post office robbery, which is pretty risky. And so they get there, and Baby and it seems to be going as planned until Bats gets out, and then Baby sees the postal worker that he saw, and she recognizes him.
Mm-hmm.
Which, how realistic is this? Like, would you recognize a random person if you worked at the post office and saw hundreds of people
I
every
was
day?
at California Pizza Kitchen yesterday, and the waitress remembered me.
Okay,
She
so it's
remembered
possible.
my drink, and it was crazy.
Okay, but you have red hair, so you're more memorable.
That's true. That's true.
But Baby apparently
But
was
she remembered my drink. Okay, that's a good waitress.
that is a pretty good waitress. That's somebody with a really good memory who's putting that to use at their job.
Yeah.
Baby is like, oh no, this isn't good because she's gonna be able to identify him. And so when they all get back, the cops are she's about to like get him busted, and then he hasn't reacted to what to do, and Buddy, Darling, and Bats are all telling him to drive, and Bats pulls a gun on him and says drive. And so what does Buddy do? He drives the car forward. Although I realized that we kind of missed an important part of the plot.
Where they found his tapes.
Yeah, actually two important parts of the plot.
What was the other
So backtracking. So in a flashback scene, this is definitely how the movie goes.
This
by
is the
way.
director's cut.
Buddy. There's two interactions between Buddy and Bats that kind of work up to this moment of the death. First of all, Bats happens to want to go to the diner that Deborah works at, and it's a very tense scene because
Baby says no.
Baby says no, and then obviously they have to go then because Bats is like an alpha male and it has to happen. And then he can't recognize that Deborah's there. He tells Baby that he doesn't know Deborah. End of scene. And then we get the scene where all the tapes he like records people and then he turns them into mixtapes. So he's been doing that to the robbers. Well, they find out about it, Buddy and Bats, and they're pretty upset. But somehow Baby convinces him that he's still their driver. But all that tension led up to this moment where Baby is just like, screw it, and drives the car forward and impale into another truck, and like it impales Bats. So that's kind of the context of.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And you kind of know that Bats is gonna die because he constantly references it throughout the whole movie. Anyway, we got this whole thing, this whole chase scene that involves the rest of the people, Baby, Buddy, and Darling. Baby and Buddy and Darling go their separate directions, but they end up in the same place after being chased around for a while, both trying to steal cars and get away. While she's shooting, Darling is shot by the cops.
Which is also pretty cool.
And then this obviously greatly upsets Buddy, and he blames it all on Baby.
Then
But-
Buddy goes full Terminator on all of those
Yeah.
cops and kills them.
And so if I'm not mistaken, Baby gets away by stealing this old lady's car. He goes to get Joe.
Well, he gives her purse.
Yeah,
That's
he gives
important.
her a purse. And he goes to get
And
Joe.
the lady uses a nasty word.
She does. You wouldn't think an old lady would do that, but she did. Anyway, he goes to get Joe. And he takes Joe to a nursing home. Joe's like, "Are you gonna be okay?" He says, "I'll be fine." Then he goes to get Deborah. But who is at the diner when Deborah's there but Buddy?
John Wick.
John Wick. He doesn't go away. He's still there. But this cop comes in, and you think he's gonna come bust both of them, but here he doesn't recognize either of them somehow. I guess maybe they didn't get Baby on film, but you think he would recognize Buddy maybe. But no, he just had to go to the bathroom, and you get this really tense scene, and then right at a moment of surprise, Baby takes advantage of the situation and shoots Buddy. But
Then Buddy shoots the cop that came out of the bathroom. He just wanted to
right,
go to
and
the
then
bathroom.
Buddy and Deborah get into the car and run away, or go away, and they try to find another car, and they have to get this Dodge Challenger, and then Baby goes back to Doc because he's like, maybe Doc will help me. Which at first you're like, why would Doc help him?
But it's his only hope.
Right, it's his only hope, and Doc does eventually cave because he sees how in love Deborah and
Love is always the answer.
love is the answer, and then he gets destroyed because if you make dumb decisions, you get blown up. And he makes a weird Monsters Inc. reference before that.
Oh yeah, Monsters Inc. is in this movie twice.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, there's strange references in this
Did you
movie.
like Monsters University?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I liked it too.
I like Monsters Inc. better, but I think Monsters University
Monsters
is good.
Inc. is pretty good.
Then we get so then there's these thugs from an earlier scene who try to shoot them. They end up getting shot, but then Buddy comes back driving the cop car from the cop that he
Buddy's
shot.
still alive.
Yeah, this third act of the movie is kind of like Buddy's still alive. And then there's so many face-offs between them.
Yeah, so let's just say Buddy dies about 3 or 4 times in this movie.
Yeah, you think he's dead 3 or 4 times.
So there's one scene where Baby and Deborah are in a car, and they're pushing Buddy's car off of a cliff, and his car falls down. And then Baby's like, yeah, we did it. But then, like, Buddy's right behind him.
And it's so predictable. Like, you know that Buddy's going to be there.
Yeah, you know, but because you don't want him to be there.
And then he almost gets Baby. He shoots by both of his ears, which I think harms his ears, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently. It was kind of unclear. He's about to shoot him when he's hitting the hand with a crowbar by Deborah. And
like, out of all the places, why would you hit his hand?
He knocks the gun out of his hand, and then they start fighting, and then Baby gets the gun. And does he shoot him, or does he somehow push him off the edge? Somehow he falls off the edge.
No, he falls off the edge in some way or form.
Yeah, somehow he falls off the edge onto his burning car, and then the car explodes more. So
And then he comes back again.
no, he doesn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You think they got away, but they didn't because the cops find them later and make this thing, and then Baby's like, okay, hands up, I'll go with the cops.
After, like, kissing her real hard.
Yeah, like, big makeout session in the car before, and that's gotta be awkward for the cops.
Yeah, they're like, we're just trying to arrest this guy. Why is he making us uncomfortable?
Like, this is weird. Like, don't do that. And he throws the key to the car into the river. That's also something.
That's what I'm saying. There should be a keychain that floats so that you can never drop your keys in the water and lose them.
I don't know whether we should have kept that in the episode, Zach. That is a genius idea. So don't steal that.
Don't worry, I'll patent it before tomorrow.
Right. And then, but Baby gets sentenced to 25 years in prison. But 5 years, he gets a parole hearing. And we get all this montage of him in prison, mopping the floor, doing all this stuff. And everyone's saying what a good person he was, besides the fact that he was a getaway driver and maybe led to the death of some people. I kind of am lost on who directly.
Like that one cop just wanted to go to the bathroom. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and then he somehow died.
Why should we be punished for going to the bathroom?
Right, but it appears that he gets out on parole after 5 years because he's still pretty young.
Uh-huh.
And Deborah's right there, and then they drive off into the distance, and they don't have to worry about being looked at from behind, being chased because he's done his time, which maybe they should have just turned themselves in the first time. But then all those things that happened that made him a good person, like giving the purse back, wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, like you can cause so many people to die, but if you give an old lady her purse, you are redeemed.
Yeah, that's how that works. I think that's what the judge thought too. So with that is our summary of the plot. We probably missed a few things, but that's okay. You can go watch.
We got the gist of it.
You can go watch the movie yourself if you're interested. So, should we get into our rating?
9-point rating system, not 8.
We are improving every week, folks, and now we have introduced our 9-point rating system.
Thank you to my friend Liam. He said that we should add score/soundtrack as our 9th point.
And what better week could you add a score such as that as this movie, which it has music heavily involved in the plot of the movie.
Edgar Wright, of course.
Edgar Wright is a big fan of music. If you've ever watched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, there's some pretty good music in it.
All right, let's get started. What is number 1?
Sentiment.
All right, what did you give it?
I give it a 7.
Same.
Yeah, this movie is good. It's very good, but I didn't find it to be a movie that was like really got me.
I'd say it's more sentimental than Good Time, but less than Polar Express.
Okay. I actually haven't seen Polar Express in a long time and had very little sentimental
Hey, well,
attachment to it.
Christmas is almost here. You got 3 more months,
Somebody recommend that.
please.
All right, so we also just covered plot, so let's do plot next.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 7.
Okay, so I gave it a 6 because I don't know. The plot at the end kind of like ruined it for me because I didn't really like the third act.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna give it like an 8 or something. But then I thought like the end, like the last 20 minutes of the movie, just like it just went too long. I think they just kept bringing Buddy back, and then like he went to prison, he got caught again, like different things, blah blah blah. Is he with the girl? Is he not with the girl? At that point, I don't care. Okay.
Right. Buddy kept coming back, and I didn't really like the montage at the end. Again, I like ambiguous endings better. I'd rather it ended with them driving off or with him going to prison. Don't try to neatly wrap it. And
Good Time had an ambiguous ending.
Right. Yeah, he got arrested. What happened after he got arrested? Who knows?
Who cares?
Who cares?
We don't.
I don't think Zach did, because Zach didn't like Connie that much.
No.
But Baby maybe is a more likable character, so people want to see that. But I felt like the whole last 5 minutes were especially kind of unneeded, and mostly there for sentimental purposes, which I feel backfired for me, actually. I didn't think they made me feel less sentimentally attached to the movie.
Yeah, it definitely did. Moral is our third point. What did you put for that?
I feel like I might have overrated Moral because I gave it a 6, but I don't actually know what the message of this movie is.
I gave it a 6 because it does explain that like sometimes you can put yourself in hard situations where you have to do the wrong thing. Like you can corner yourself in life, you know? But they don't really redeem him besides falling in love and giving an old lady her purse.
Right. I think it deals with some moral questions and it has somewhat of a message, but I don't know how it resolves that other than like love is the answer.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 only because he still had a good heart even though he was in all those troubling situations.
That's true. It's not an ideal situation to be in, and you know, he could either do that robbery or everyone around him would like automatically die. So I guess he's putting the chance that some people might die, or if he didn't do it, some people will die.
It's like a Breaking Bad / Fargo situation where good people can do bad things, but it changes them in the long run.
That's a really good comparison.
So what's the next point?
There's character arcs.
Okay, I gave it a 6.
I gave it an 8 because I thought Baby's character arc and Deborah's were pretty good. I thought that Baby, you got to see this like slowly unwrapping person, and at first he was like really quiet, and then you get to see who he really is. Although, you know, thinking about it now, I'm like, maybe 8's a little high, but you know, I gotta go with my gut reaction.
I gave character arcs a 6. I thought that it was okay. I mean, obviously, some of them were pretty okay. But Baby, I mean, his goal the entire movie was basically to just get out of the system and get out of Doc's control. And he eventually does, but he had to find different resources. So adaptation and also falling in love in some sorts where he finally found someone he can put above himself. And so, yeah, that's why I gave it a 6. So, like, it was okay, you know?
So, cinematography. I gave this one an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
It's hard not
I think we've tied on all of them except for
character arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to. Edgar Wright is a good director. He knows what he's doing behind the camera. He's very stylistic. He uses the camera well. He did a really good job with all of the chase scenes in the cars. I think it's not a 9 or 10 because I think that there's just people who are better. Actually, I'd be curious to see what I rated Good Time because honestly, I might actually prefer the style of Good Time, which I know is very unpopular to some people because it's just more interesting. But this is very stylistic and very good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was just cool to see like the top view, like aerial views of those car chase scenes, and like the cinematography was just cooler in action scenes than in other movies. So specifically in action scenes.
Originality.
What did you give it?
8.
I give it a 9.
This movie was original, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about this more, but the concept of using the music was pretty good.
Yeah, and you don't really hear about those people that are just getaway drivers. You always see the stories about the robbers or the cops or the heroes or the villains, but you never hear about the middlemen, you know?
Well, if we ever do the movie Drive, which was recommended to us, uh, it also is about a getaway driver, and it's one of my favorite movies. So I hope we do it.
You spoiled it.
Oh, dang it!
I'm just joking. Okay. Next, we have acting.
I give it. Well, how about we have you give your rating first?
Okay,
this time.
you're so sweet. You're so
Yeah.
kind. I feel valued. Okay, I give it a 6.
We're gonna have to cut that part out. Zach, you're not valued.
Oh no. Oh great.
Oh, it's a 6. Oh wow, 6. That's kind of harsh.
A little bit.
I gave mine an 8 because I thought that everyone was pretty good. Although come to think of it, Kevin Spacey was like not surprisingly not that good. Or is that
Yeah.
who you were thinking of?
Yeah, that's safe for us to say.
Yeah, like I think Jamie Foxx was funny, and Ansel Elgort was amazing, and then Lily James, is that her name? The girl who plays Deborah. Oh, not that girl. Yeah, Lily James. She's pretty good, and most of the other people were good. And Sky Ferraria is in this, the pop singer. So that was interesting, but she doesn't have a very big role in the movie. John Hamm was good as Buddy. Kevin Spacey was kind of a weak spot.
John Bernthal was okay.
Yeah.
As, what's his face? What is his name? His name was Griff.
Yeah, everyone had pretty good comedic timing, I think. So that's why I give it an 8. How about you? What would you? Why the 6?
Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx and Ansel Elgort. They did it for me, but the rest of them just didn't really stick out. Nobody really stuck out too far in this movie besides Ansel.
And the guy who played Joe, with the signing actor.
Oh, Joe's my favorite. You know what stuck out was his eyes. Oh my gosh.
Joe's eyes win the best actor in the movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, how about style?
Style. I gave that a 7.
Yeah, in style, I gave it a 9. You gave it a 7, right?
Yes.
I thought that the style was really good, like really really good, like with the music and everything, and then the choppy like beats, and I thought like everything fit really well with the movie. Everything that was used was clearly used for a purpose. All the bright imagery and the nighttime scenes were cool. I mean, there's just a lot of like even that scene where they like refer to all the weapons as like pork or like pig cuts. I mean, it's just all really neat, and I thought it was really good, so I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I mean, it was cool. I liked the music that went along with the action. But yeah, I mean, I guess 7 is just my version of good.
So Zach, we just came to slightly different conclusions on that one. Now we get to our first ever rating of a movie soundtrack.
Let's see who's higher. We say it at the same time on 3. 1, 2. Wait, no, after 3. 1, 2, 3,
9.
8. Okay.
All right, I give it a 9. This is a brilliant movie soundtrack. Not quite one of the best movie soundtracks. I don't know whether I should say what my favorite movie soundtracks.
Just say it.
Okay, so Taxi Driver has one of the best movie soundtracks, and then Donnie Darko also has one of the best movie soundtracks, and I think Reservoir Dogs. I also really like the soundtrack too. Any Quentin Tarantino movie though has a pretty good soundtrack.
Except for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that one actually, it doesn't really stick out that much. The soundtrack of Donnie Darko uses a lot of cool music. But this one is pretty high up there. They use a lot of variety. It's like mostly older music. Kind of actually what I'm into listening to right now, so that kind of helps. Although none of the songs in particular were ones that I've really listened to that much, but it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 because the music fit really well with the action sequences and what the characters were feeling. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to total ratings.
What was your score and percentage?
So my score was 69. Nice.
Out of 90.
69 out of 90, which is equal to 76%.
Okay, I think this is my highest rating yet. I gave it a 64 out of 90, which is a 71.1%.
This is definitely Zach's highest rating by like 11%.
Yep.
So Zach has finally gotten into the 70s. I have 3 movies in the 70s. Zach only has 1, but you know.
What was your percentage on the B movie again?
It was 58%.
That's That's generous right there.
Generous for
Yeah.
the B movie? The B movie's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
It's a good movie. I rated it based on the fact that it's the B movie. You know, like, how do you rate the B movie, really?
I guess you can't. It's just completely different.
It's hard
standards.
to compare the B movie to, like, this.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, my lowest rated one is The Notebook. Still at 50%. Maybe one of these days I'll get a movie that I really don't like that's below 50%. But right now, hasn't happened. Zach, it has with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And this one actually ties Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in my rankings.
Wow. That's
So
pretty
it's
crazy,
above
actually.
Good Time. Even though I think if I was rating them on a list, I would rank Good Time higher than this. But from a critical standpoint, this is a better made movie, I guess, from my take. And I bet the soundtrack helps with that a lot.
Yeah. All right, that's all of the 9 points. So do you have any other afterthoughts about the movie? Any cool scenes or anything?
The opening scene stuck out as being pretty cool. But I didn't really have too many that I thought stuck out. How about you? What do you think?
I like that scene in the beginning where Deborah and Baby kind of just meet. They just get to talking, and Baby's recording her singing, and then she just comes around the table like on the other side, and she's like, "Were you recording me?" It was really funny.
And I don't know that she actually realizes that he was.
Yeah.
And then she just starts talking into the. Yeah, it's a good scene. I think a lot of the scenes with Baby and Deborah are good, and the scenes with Ansel Elgort dancing, singing like all the different Deborah songs, and then seeing Joe's reaction, being like, "I think this girl is like."
Yeah,
pretty
that
good."
was my second favorite scene right there. It was he was dancing to the Deborah song, and Joe gives his thumbs up, and he says, "I approve of this girl."
Joe is just. He's everything that you would want from a father figure, other than maybe he doesn't stop him from being involved. But the thing is, Joe is disabled and deaf. There's no way that he's going to be able to stop Baby from doing the things that he's doing.
Yeah.
And he also Baby is in a tough situation. Maybe it's because he robbed the car in the first place, but now how is he going to get out of that?
There was a scene between Joe and Baby where Baby had just started his pizza delivery job, and he was counting his money. And Joe said, "You only have to wash your hands once after counting that." So he was talking about, obviously it's a metaphor for washing your hands of the dirty things that you do in the job, that in the line of work that you were in. But he's saying Joe is just approving of the line of work that he was in now, which is a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah, Joe is trying to get him on the right path, but there's a limited option for what he can do. And the relationship it's pretty neat because I think you wouldn't expect these two to have been in the relationship they were with him being in foster care, but it turns out to be probably one of the better relationships in his life. His parents seemed like they loved him, but they were caught up in arguing with each other before they died. It was actually arguably the cause of their death.
Arguably.
Yeah, because they were arguing and they weren't looking at the road, and that's how they got into the car accident in the first place. So seeing that and going to somebody like Joe, who is in the foster care system and is trying to give him a better life, and that's the only reason that he's doing it, is to try to give Baby a better life. But Baby has to make decisions for himself, and sometimes they're not good. And so Joe is now his rock that's kind of there for him, even when he does things that he probably shouldn't.
So yeah, any other thoughts or housekeeping?
No, not really. Do you want to do randomize and figure out what movie we're gonna do next week?
Let's do it.
All right. So on our spreadsheet, the official Movie Vault spreadsheet, we have a list of suggestions given to us by our listeners. And in this list, right now we have only movies that are available currently on streaming services. So like Netflix, that we have access to. So like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Apple TV. And the way this will work is that we'll put it through the randomizer, and
is anything truly random though?
Yeah, I mean probably not. And whatever movie is on top at the end of the randomizer will be the movie that we do next week.
Okay.
So
3, 2, 1. Shuffle.
All right, here we go.
Oh!
We're doing Nacho Libre next week.
Nacho Libre, Jack Black, my second favorite actor.
Wait, who's your favorite actor?
Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong. I love Ken Jeong. Ken Jeong is so funny.
No, okay. Third favorite actor. It goes Ken Jeong, Benedict Cumberbatch, and then Jack Black.
I see. Mine are Brad Pitt, and then I'd have to think about it. I don't know.
Leonardo DiCaprio, probably.
No, I actually don't think that he's my second favorite.
Oh,
but
wow.
I can't think about like I guess maybe. There's a lot of people. I've watched one really good movie that they've done. Like I
Yeah.
like Ryan Gosling in like One Thing, and I like.
You mean The Notebook?
No, not The Notebook. I like him in Drive, which I keep bringing up. That's on this list now. It's a bummer it wasn't.
All
didn't
right,
come
so
up.
Nacho Libre, we're going to add to the comedy section of this podcast.
Yeah, and if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and just anything that you want to say to us,
Yeah, anything you want to talk about, we're here for you.
you can email us at themovievaultpod@gmail.com, or you can DM us at themovievaultpod on Instagram. We have Twitter. Follow us at themovievault1, where we have posted one thing, and you can see it, and you can retweet it.
And it has 1 like.
And it has 1 like.
We're really trying to grow our Twitter page
We're-
from 1
we're-
like to 2.
We're really focusing on the Twitter.
Yeah. It's
And
like a monthly campaign.
if you're interested in sponsoring or supporting the podcast, you can also contact us,
Yeah.
and we can work something out if you know somebody who's interested. And keep sharing it with your friends, with your family. If you're talking to your grandma or your cousin, be like, "There's this great movie podcast, and they're doing Nacho Libre next week."
And actually, we've actually grown a lot since we started. We have different countries involved in our podcast now.
Yeah, so if you're in a different country and you're listening to us, spread it to your friends who are in that country, or maybe you have family who are even outside the country. However the means of doing it, we want to grow this podcast to be as big as possible and have a community of people who love movies and that we can get to know. So also, if you have any ideas on how you want to like grow a community of listeners together,
Yeah.
whether it be through a Facebook group or something like that, we love your insight. We want to get to know you guys, and so you're not just random people on our screen who pop up.
Yeah, actually, I just got the list up. We have lots of people from the United States, a few from Mexico, a few from Slovakia, from Canada, Germany, and the United Kingdom.
So greetings to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know how you found us, but we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And if you'd like to write us a review on Apple Podcasts, which will hopefully be positive, but we won't be mad if it's negative, and you can write to
won't
us
be.
how you discovered us and what you like and maybe what you don't like even. But we're just really excited about how this is going, and we hope to keep building it and building bigger things.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to Liam once again for adding that 9th point of score/soundtrack.
If you have an idea for a 10th point, we're on the lookout.
We're very OCD.
Complete the set, please. We need a 10th point.
Yes. And yeah, with that,
It is now time to close the movie vault. See you next week.